When Japan's Ministry of Defense solemnly put the number of China's fighter jets into single digits, 1,688, and made a fuss about claiming that only 30 J-20s were added a year, and that only 20 J-16s were delivered, military observers around the globe frowned at almost the same time. This set of seemingly accurate and authoritative figures, behind but everywhere through the absurdity of difficult to justify, as if China's most central two advanced fighter production line, overnight into the emergency brake. Japan's Ministry of Defense, the freshly released Defense White Paper on China's air power data, can be described as accurate to the outrageous. The report states conclusively that by the beginning of 2025, China's Navy and Air Force will have a total of 1,688 fourth and fifth generation aircraft. More specifically, the J-20 stealth fighter, which is the sharp edge of the air, has only increased by 30 units in the past year, leaving the total number at 230. The main heavy multi-purpose fighter, the J-16, has only delivered 20 units, totaling 312, and the J-10 series, which has the largest number, has reached 588 units. When this set of data was released, it immediately stirred up a huge maelstrom of skepticism in global military intelligence circles. Not only were international military analysts deeply perplexed, but even senior defense experts in Japan were privately shaking their heads. The core of the problem lies in the picture it paints of stagnant growth and the reality of China's aerospace industry surging development of the pulse of the formation of a piercing sense of tearing. Japanese observers who have long tracked China's military have privately disclosed that the actual number of J-20s in service should have approached, or even exceeded the 300 mark. This judgment is highly consistent with mainstream Western observations and public clues. The chief executive of U.S. military giant Lockheed Martin bluntly pointed out late last year that China's J-20 production rate is rapidly approaching the annual output of the F-35, implying that the annual delivery capacity has long exceeded 100 aircraft. Satellite imagery clearly captures signs of continued expansion at Chengdu Aircraft Industry Group's plant, with brand new J-20 airframes appearing frequently, and the rhythm of its pulsating production line is clearly different from the white paper's portrayal of near stagnation of production capacity. The J-16 situation is equally puzzling. The general consensus in the Western defense community is that the size of China's J-16 fleet has easily exceeded 350 units, and some Japanese analysts even estimate that it has exceeded 450 units. Shenyang Aircraft Industry Group's production line is tasked with the heavy responsibility of ensuring the continued mass production of the J-16 and its specialized electronic warfare model, as well as promoting the upgrading of the carrier-based J-15, while at the same time carrying out the trial production of the next-generation stealth carrier-based J-35. Under such an efficiently run production system, the rationality of the white paper's claim that China delivered only 20 J-16s a year seems unusually pale. As for the J-15 carrier aircraft, the white paper's figure of 70 is even more outrageous. Based only on the fuselage number of the latest batch of J-15Ts, which appeared in the public reports of Chinese official media, the production of this model may be close to 70 units. If we add the early production of the skid-start J-15S and the electronic warfare model J-15D, the total size of the J-15 family is conservatively estimated to be around 150 aircraft. The serious shrinkage of the Japanese data makes people ask, is this a serious flaw in intelligence capability? Or is it a deliberate act with ulterior motives? As a matter of fact, Japanese defense experts have also admitted internally that since 2022, the key data in the defense white paper concerning China's military power has shown a trend of shrinking year by year and has increasingly deviated from the observable reality. Behind this, there are at least two possible strategic calculations. First, the fishing expedition strategy, the deliberate throwing of an obviously absurd figure, like dropping bait in a pond, is intended to stimulate strong reactions, rumor mongering or data revision from the outside world. The Japanese intelligence service can then reverse engineer the clues from these subsequent actions and piece together an intelligence picture that is closer to the truth. This method is clumsy but potentially effective. Second, the play dumb strategy. Japan's intelligence agencies may already have more informative and accurate data, but due to multiple political and strategic considerations, they choose to release a significantly, technically processed, low-profile version of the figures in official documents. The disclosure of overly sensitive or real war power data may not only cause unnecessary panic in the country, but also create a delicate strategic dilemma in front of our ally, the United States, and even expose the depth and means of its own intelligence spying. So why is Japan focusing on China at this time and in this way in its heavyweight defense white paper? Its motive is far from simple military intimidation. The core is to pave the way for its domestic political agenda and diplomatic strategy. The primary goal is to appease rising domestic public anxiety. A sense of anxiety pervades Japanese society in the face of China's rapid development of military power, especially air power. The Defense Ministry needs to send a carefully modulated signal. The threat is real and great, but it is still within the range of preventable and controllable. A truthful announcement about the size of China's warplanes and their alarming rate of growth could directly penetrate people's psychological defenses and trigger social panic. Second, it serves the crucial Japan-US alliance. As a key pillar of the US Indo-Pacific strategy, Japan must coordinate its strategic narrative with Washington. However, over-exaggerating China's military power, especially recognizing China's potential to overtake the US in certain cutting-edge fields, will seriously impact the US image of absolute deterrence in the hearts of its allies, and even shake the foundation of the alliance. Therefore, Japan's description of China's military power must be strictly limited to a delicate range, pose a significant challenge, but have not yet shaken the dominant position of the United States. The ultimate and most practical goal is money. The white paper is essentially a plea to the Diet to secure a large budget for the Ministry of Defense. By systematically shaping and emphasizing the China threat theory, especially rendering the scale and speed of China's military forces, the Ministry of Defense for its continued military expansion, procurement of expensive weapons systems provide the most direct money. The Defense Ministry for its continued military expansion, procurement of expensive weapons system provides the most direct legitimacy, basis and public opinion padding. More than 30 pages of the white paper are devoted to portraying the China challenge in harsher and harsher terms, characterizing it as the greatest strategic challenge ever. It covers China's military spending growth, modernization of its nuclear arsenal, the regular presence of marine police vessels in the Diaoyu Islands, and even deliberately highlights joint exercises between China and Russia around the East China Sea. The intention of this series of actions is clear. The China threat tone is constantly raised to create a tense atmosphere in the region, serving the dual strategic objectives of containing China's development and showing loyalty to the United States. This carefully crafted defense white paper, no matter how its data distortion, how the motive of packaging, ultimately is a mirror, clearly reflected the face of Japan's revival of China, that is difficult to conceal the strategic anxiety. When Tokyo took great pains to pinpoint the number of Chinese warplanes to single digits, precisely exposing its deep-seated fear and helplessness, behind those deliberately compressed figures is a country facing the rise of a powerful neighbor nowhere to put a great deal of anxiety.